all the time.
We are family.
Outstanding effort again.
We're busting ours to kick yours.
That's big time.
-15.
Respect all, fear none.
Oh, did he belt that one?
Intensity is not a perfume.
It was a no-doubter.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome into MASN All Access, presented by the Maryland Lottery, celebrating 50 years of fun and games. Amy Jennings here with Brendan Mortensen, continuing the countdown of our rankings of the top 50 players in the Orioles organization. Again, this is based off of where these guys are right now, not where they might be in the future. And we've already brought 50 through 31 to you. So today we're going to start at 30 and go down to number 21 on this list. And before we get started, Brendan, can you tell the fans how you went about ranking these players?
Yeah, as you mentioned, this is not based on a player's potential. Early on in this list, we had Jackson Holliday in our 50 to 41 rankings. That was not a reflection of how we feel about Jackson Holliday and his future moving forward. It was just a reflection of the fact that he's 19 years old and he's still in the lower level of the minor leagues at this point. So as we continue to go down this list, we're starting to look at some major league players in here as well. But still, this is just where players are right now. If a player hasn't had a ton of big league experience, probably hard to have him super high up on this list, even though his potential may be great. So as you mentioned, we're not looking at the future, just looking at where these players are right now.
Well, let's bring you this batch of players on this list. This is number 30 through number 21. And Brendan, there's one player on this list that I think has to jump off the page for fans at home because he just made his major league debut this week, and that is Colton Cowser.
Yeah, Colton Cowser on base 3 times last night. He has just 1 hit in his first 2 big league games, but he has 3 walks in those first 2 games as well. Number 14 prospect in baseball. He can play all 3 outfield spots pretty effectively. Colton Cowser is going to hit. He hit .330 in his time with Norfolk this season, so really excited to see what Cowser is able to bring up to the big league level. Again, only reason he's not higher up on this list is because we've only seen 2 big league games out of Colton Cowser so far. Once he has a little bit more of a track record, then maybe he gets into the Orioles top 20. But for right now, we have only seen a very small sample size of Colton Cowser, so he comes in on this ranking of our top 10.
It wasn't a matter of if for Colton, it was just a matter of when. He was hitting .330 down in AAA Norfolk with an OPS just shy of 1,000, and you had the chance to catch up with him before he made his major league debut and break down what was working well for him down at AAA.
In 56 games for AAA Norfolk this year, Colton Cowser hit a whopping .330 with an OPS close to 1,000, a massive improvement from his numbers with the Tides last season. But his approach hasn't changed too much.
Yeah, I think just keeping it simple, making sure the body's right, and just make sure I'm putting in the prep work right now. Just trying to check those boxes. Not really dive too much into swing mechanics, things like that. I'd say more just really kind of fine-tune the approach and timing. Again, keeping it simple, not trying to do too much, just, sticking to what I do best, and that's just controlling the zone and putting good swings on strikes.
Cowser's on-base percentage also soared to .459.
Going from AA, AAA last year, I kind of was not necessarily sped up. I would say, I was getting probably 1 pitch hit per AB, and, if I missed it, then it was kind of learning and understanding like not to expand. And last year when I got here, I kind of was expanding off of anticipating them to make a mistake, and understanding is when I get a good pitch hit, make sure I'm driving it and putting it in play and making sure good things happen. I try to keep it as like I'm in a 2-0 count, really honed in on the middle, and then if the ball's a little bit off that, still being able to put a good swing on it. Yeah, I'd say treating every count like it's 2-0.
And Norfolk boasts an incredibly talented roster filled with some familiar faces for Cowser.
Yeah, it's awesome. The comfortability aspect is definitely there. Been playing with these guys for, I guess, 1.5 years now, almost 2 years with some of them, Norby, and, I just think team chemistry's there, and yeah, it's awesome. We got a really good group. Winning's been a lot of fun down here, and it's contagious. Winning's hard, and being able to have some success in the minor leagues, you kind of expect it whenever you keep moving up. It's really important to build a winning culture, and I feel like the Orioles and the organization's done a great job with that the past couple of years.
And even with a major league call-up on the horizon, Cowser is just going about his business.
Make sure I'm doing the work beforehand, and putting my body in a good spot to have success, and letting my game take care of the rest. It's going to happen when it's going to happen. It's not really anything I can control. I'd say the thing that I'm controlling the most is just, again, my day-by-day actions, taking it one day at a time and trying to, get better each day.
The Maryland Lottery is celebrating its 50th year, and each game a Maryland Lottery Fast Play Home Run Riches contestant of the game is selected. The contestant of the game wins $500 from the Maryland Lottery just for being selected. Then an additional $500 for each Orioles home run hit in that game. And to commemorate the Maryland Lottery's 50th anniversary, the contestant of the game, when the Orioles hit their 50th home run of the 2023 season, won $50,000. And now a second $50,000 will be awarded to someone who enters as the contestant in a special drawing to be held in August. For a chance to be selected as a Fast Play Home Run Riches contestant of the game, enter Fast Play Home Run Riches game tickets into lottery rewards. Visit mdlottery.com/homerun for details. And Brendan, Colton Cowser, the big name on this list, coming in at the top of this week's list. But there's a batch of arms on this list as well. And Ciano Perez, Mike Baumann, Austin Voth. What are you seeing from those guys this year, and what do you see in their future in the Orioles bullpen?
Yeah, a few guys in Ciano Perez and Austin Voth to start that have struggled a little bit when you look at their ERA. Perez at a 4.45 after a spectacular 2022 season where he had a 1.40 ERA, but just 6.5 Ks per 9 innings. Walks are up to 4.7 per 9 and allowing over 11 hits per 9 innings. So Ciano Perez starting to get back on track here a little bit, but not the kind of numbers that we expected after a really dominant 2022. Austin Voth kind of the same way. ERA up close to 5 right now. The walk numbers have increased from a year ago, but these guys are still relatively high on the list because of the track record that they have shown. Each had really good 2022 seasons in Baltimore, so they have to be there. And then Mike Baumann has kind of found a home here in the Orioles bullpen. ERA just over 4, but that's not really reflective of how well he has pitched this season. He's been in some high leverage situations, is able to get out of a lot of jams with inherited runners. So Mike Baumann has been really solid this year. Ciano Perez and Austin Voth have struggled a little bit more, but the track records are just there for those guys.
The other arm that makes the cut on this list is Orioles prospect DL Hall. Now, we only saw him once so far this year. He, of course, made his debut last year, had some lower back discomfort this offseason, couldn't lift, and in turn saw a big drop in his velocity in his fastball. What's going on with DL Hall? Yeah,
DL Hall just not really the same pitcher without that velocity. As you mentioned, his command was still a little bit shaky this season down in AAA Norfolk, an ERA just over 4.50. He's gone into that kind of deloading phase, as they called it, where he was just pitching once a week, 3 innings, and the other days where he wasn't pitching, trying to work out a little bit more, go on some heavy lifts, try to get that velocity back up. So 2023 for DL Hall, a little bit uncertain. Don't really know if we're going to see him in the big leagues again this year, whether it be as a starter or in the bullpen. Still has a ton of promise and a ton of potential. Just needs to shake the injuries here, get back to the DL Hall that we were used to seeing from a few seasons ago.
Now, shifting to the position players on this list, we saw Terrin Vavra, Kyle Stowers, and Joey Ortiz all get their taste of the big leagues. Kyle Stowers, of course, hurt right now, and Ryan McKenna got optioned when Colton Cowser got the call up. But when do you think we might see some of these players back up in Baltimore, given what a crowded Orioles roster it is right now?
Yeah, that's the hard thing right now, right? There's such a position crunch right now at the big league level with only 13 guys, and you have players like Ryan O'Hearn and Aaron Hicks, who aren't on this list because we made this list in the offseason before those guys were acquired. They've been playing so well that it's hard for guys like Ryan McKenna, Kyle Stowers when he's healthy, Terrin Vavra when he's healthy, to be able to get a spot in this big league roster, and that's why those guys are kind of grouped together. You mentioned Joey Ortiz, Taron Vavra, Kyle Stowers, Ryan McKenna. All of those guys have put up pretty spectacular numbers in AAA Norfolk, but they just haven't been able to get consistent playing time in the big leagues, and there's just some guys that are frankly outperforming them at the big league level thus far, and so they're not really able to find a niche for Brandon Hyde to be able to get into the lineup consistently, so they're down in AAA Norfolk trying to get everyday at-bats, and they've been proving themselves in those everyday at-bats, but again, a good problem to have when you just have so many talented players at the big league level. It's hard to find spots for everybody.
Well, there you have it, the 30th through 21st ranked players on our list, and we'll be revealing them as the months go on for the rest of the season, so stay tuned for that. We're getting close to the top 10 players on that list, but in the meantime, you can tune in into The Bird's Nest. It's an all-new show on MASN All Access with Brendan Mortensen and Matt Bonaparte, and this Sunday, make sure you tune in to MASN All Access's draft show. The Orioles have the number 17 pick, and they'll prepare you for that and break it down once the Orioles make their selection. A big thanks to Matt Bonaparte for producing the show behind the scenes. For Brendan Mortensen, I'm Amy Jennings, and MASN All Access is brought to you by the Maryland Lottery, celebrating 50 years of fun and games.